Anti-gunners are always trying to come up with new ways to infringe on the Second Amendment, including straight-up mafia-like tactics that you would expect to see in the Godfather movies. These mobster-like shenanigans now has the attention of the United States Supreme Court. So, if you want to know how some anti-2A politicians are acting like gangsters, be sure to stick around. Hello and welcome to the Firearm Firm channel. I'm attorney James Phillips, and for those of you who have been following me, you may notice I'm sporting some new hardware. It's alright, I'm recovering from a bicep tear that required surgery last week, so that's why you haven't seen any videos done lately. I do apologize, but I'm back and ready to get started. But that's enough about me. Today we're going to break down a case that has not gotten a whole lot of attention in the 2A community, even though it has a Second Amendment aspect to it, and the United States Supreme Court has agreed to hear the issue this year. But, as always, before we dive into this case, please take a moment to show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by subscribing to the Firearm Firm channel if you haven't already done so. All you got to do is click on the subscribe icon located down in the bottom right hand corner of this video. So today we are talking about the National Rifle Association of America versus VULO, which made its way to the United States Supreme Court from the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Now this case is a First Amendment case, which is probably the reason it hasn't gotten much notice in the 2A community, but the facts surround the Second Amendment, so I definitely think it's worth discussing. Plus, like the saying goes, without the second, you wouldn't have the first, and I so believe that to be true. In this case, the NRA filed a federal lawsuit against Maria T. VULO individually and in her former official capacity as the superintendent of the New York Department of Financial Services, DFS, along with Andrew Cuomo individually and in his official capacity as the governor of New York. Now, since then, as we all know, Cuomo has stepped down. I guess he couldn't keep his hands to himself, but anyway, the NRA is going after VULO after she warned regulated institutions that doing business with Second Amendment advocacy groups posed reputational risk of concern to the Department of Finance, secretly offering leniency to insurers for unrelated infractions if they dropped the NRA, and extracted highly publicized and overreaching consent orders, including multi-million-dollar penalties from firms that formerly served the NRA back in 2017. The case went to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals after the district court refused to grant VULO claim for qualified immunity, and the Second Circuit held that NRA failed to state a First Amendment claim and dismissed the case. Some examples of the mafia-like tactics by VULO include holding several meetings with executives of institutions subject to her regulatory power, where she would make back-channel threats that they must cease providing services to the NRA in connection with the affinity insurance program that the NRA had endorsed. At these meetings, she declared that the Department of Financial Services would focus its forthcoming affinity insurance enforcement action solely on those syndicates which serve the NRA and ignore other syndicates writing similar policies. Then on April the 19th of 2018, VULO had DFS issue an official regulatory guidance letter directed at all banks and insurance companies, in which DFS favorably cited groups that had severed their ties with the NRA as examples of corporate social responsibility, and warned regulated institutions of the reputational risk of further dealings with the NRA in light of the social backlash against the group for its Second Amendment advocacy. That same day, she issued a press release that urged all insurance companies and banks doing business in New York to discontinue their arrangements with the NRA. Then in May of 2018, DFS announced multi-million-dollar fines against two insurance firms that were still doing business with the NRA. This led to those two insurance firms to cease underwriting, managing, or selling affinity insurance programs for the NRA. Imagine that, right? This sparked a third insurance firm to announce that they would no longer do business with the NRA. On May the 11th of 2018, NRA filed a suit against Governor Cuomo and Superintendent VULO in their official and individual capacities based on their actions. Following motions to dismiss, the district court upheld the NRA's first count alleging an implicit censorship regime, and its second count alleging retaliation against the NRA based on the content of its speech, and denied Cuomo's and VULO's motion to dismiss these counts based on qualified immunity. These rulings were reaffirmed by the district court on March the 15th of that year, and VULO appeared, but Cuomo did not. The Second Circuit on September the 22nd of 2022 decided to reverse the district court's denial of VULO's motion to dismiss and remanded the case with direction to enter a judgment in favor of VULO. The Second Circuit held that the NRA failed to plead a First Amendment claim. Based almost entirely on the reasoning, it also found that Vula was shielded by qualified immunity. The NRA petitioned for a rehearing en banc on October the 6th of 2022, which was denied, and then they filed a petition seeking cert with the United States Supreme Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court accepted it. Arguments have not yet been scheduled, but I'll let you know when they get. Now, if this is not some mafia-type tactics, I don't know what is. This goes to show you just how far anti-gunners are willing to go to infringe on your right to bear arms. Be sure to let us know what you think about this in the comments section below, along with any questions you may have about this or any other Second Amendment related question. Rest assured, I'll be closely following this case and I'll keep you updated. Until next time, stay armed and educated.